Ohio Stadium, the Horseshoe, the third largest stadium in the United States, home to the Ohio State Buckeyes. This is the 50th Stadium Review episode, and to celebrate it, we're going to one of my bucket list stadiums to review. Go big or go home for number 50, but we decided to do both, going to my home state of Ohio. And of course, this Stadium Review is presented in partnership with Pull Tab Sports. Check them out for all things sports, culture, and entertainment across the Midwest. Let's get to it. Headed in from Minnesota. This is actually for my mom's 60th birthday back in November. Happy birthday, Mom. She flew me down from Minnesota down to Columbus to celebrate her birthday and take in the game. As my mom did graduate from Ohio State, and she's definitely been a Buckeye fanatic her entire life. So at a stadium that seats over 100,000 people, you gotta park a little bit away and take a shuttle to the stadium. And we were there bright and early and basically had the shuttle to ourselves. Getting off the bus, we got to see some rather interesting decor in the tailgating areas.
It's a Michigan player being hung. That's not okay. So what else is different from the 50s?
They have the security up here, the police.
It was a free-for-all?
No, I went here in the 80s, not the 50s.
Oh, same thing.
Yeah, no.
And there she is, Ohio Stadium, right on the shores of the Olentangy River. I absolutely love the nostalgic exterior of the stadium with the archways, and the whole area around the stadium, Jesse Owens Plaza, is lined with Buckeye trees. But we're headed away from the stadium for now because it's time to hit up a little partying. So we did skip one of my favorite traditions at Ohio State games, which is the Skull Session. About 2 hours before the game, everyone packs into the old basketball arena, the St. John's Arena, and the band goes through all their show music, going through their drill in their skull, which is why it's a Skull Session, as we make our way past St. John's and the historic Ohio State Ice Arena, home to the two-time champion Buckeye ladies hockey team. And I really wanted to grab the new hats since my hat is falling apart at the back. So for full disclosure, I'm not a huge Ohio State fan. I actually went to school in the state of Michigan at Northern Michigan University. But when in Rome, when in Ohio, gotta look the part. And I was able to find the exact hat I was wanting, a black dad hat style with the Buckeye leaf that looks like a weed leaf, which is absolutely hilarious. My mom wanted to hit up the Varsity Club, which is where all the quote-unquote old people hang out, according to my sister, as we grabbed a few drinks. And they also had an outdoor stage area where there was a band queuing up, and they never actually played because of some technical difficulties, but the party was still alive regardless. We got some free stuff as well, which was pretty sweet, and got to practice our spelling with the famous OHIO.
Varsity Club, baby. That's where it's at.
Headed back towards the stadium now as we're getting ready for kickoff. One of my favorite parts about the stadium is this rotunda here on the north end of the stadium. This giant dome feature is absolutely gorgeous and really gets at the nostalgia of the historic stadium. I've always loved the exterior of the stadium with the large, tall arches that just tower over each entrance. And looking at the small attention to detail, even the gates themselves have block O's inside of them. Making our way into the concourse now, we can see that the stadium's a little bit dated on the inside, but hey, it is over 100 years old now, so what do you expect? But at that north end, you do have some stained glass windows. I mean, how sick is that, stained glass in a stadium as the band's queuing up here on the band ramp to go in? You can see that the concourse is pretty industrial, but having some natural light coming in really helps the whole aesthetic of it. As it bounces off the lighter colors very nicely, it makes it feel a little more open. However, I think during a night game this would be rather dark and dim. We headed up the stairs to the upper level, and what's really interesting is once you get to the upper level, you can see the expansion that the stadium made to increase the upper deck. As you can see the original exterior of the stadium, and then the additional stands beyond that now. This makes two very distinct areas in the upper level concourse. If you've got the inner area that's really dark and crammed, and then you've got the outer area where a lot of the restrooms are, that's open to the natural light. Before we head in, be sure to click subscribe and give this video a thumbs up if you like it, as we're back and chugging with stadium review videos and have lots more stadiums to review coming up soon. So let's get into the stadium and have a look. So taking a look around the stadium at the seating, it originally opened up back in 1922 with a capacity around 50,000 fans. However, they crammed 90,000 in one of the first years for, of course, an Ohio State-Michigan game. The biggest renovation of the stadium happened from 1998 to 2001, where they removed the old track that was around the stadium. They actually dug down 14.5 feet after removing the track to lower the stadium, and you can see that in the first few rows, how these are additional seats added on after that renovation, where the old track used to be. And another big part of that renovation was the South Stand, which used to just be temporary stands that they'd bring in and out during football games over the track. And then they added even more to the South Stands in 2014, filling out the edges of it over the tunnels to bring it to the current capacity today of just over 102,000, making it the third largest stadium in the US and the fifth largest stadium in the entire world. Now, they've never sold naming rights to the iconic stadium, but they did sell the field naming rights, so it's now technically Safe Flight Field. But thankfully, they are a Columbus-based company, so I'll let that one slide, as there's no need to repair and replace the field name. See what I did there? So looking around the stadium, it's in the shape of a giant horseshoe, which is where it gets its nickname from, the horseshoe, or just the shoe. However, the more stadiums you look at, the more you realize that a lot of old school college football stadiums are built just like that horseshoe design. However, it does seem to be more pronounced here. In that main horseshoe, starting from the bottom, you have the lower additional sections, and then what they call A deck, which is that main grouping of stands. But behind A deck, you have B deck, which goes completely under the upper level of stands. And I'll tell you what, I've sat at the very top of B deck a few times, and it's hard to see a lot. There's pillars in your way blocking your view, there's no chance you'll see the scoreboard, and you'll definitely miss a few plays here and there. But at least you'll stay dry from the elements. Then at the very top is C deck, which is capped off by iconic towers in the south end, as well as the little cutout in towers in the north end. And it's always funny looking at these towers during games because there's security guards patrolling it the whole time. C deck is also super steep. I've actually sat at the very top of it once and felt like I was closer to downtown Columbus than the game itself. But we were fortunate enough to be third row in C deck, which were amazing seats. Shout out to my mom's alumni association for getting these. But as I think about it now, I've kind of sat all over the stadium, even in the south stands, which is now all students. And there are plenty of bad views in the house, not gonna lie there at all. But we lucked out today. And as I go through some of these old photos from the years, I feel kind of privileged that I've been able to go to so many Ohio State games, but I guess that's a benefit of having divorced parents that are both Ohio State alumni. Instead of being excited about 2 Christmases, it's, yay, there's maybe 2 chances to go to an Ohio State football game this year. Of course, being the crown jewel of Ohio cultural events. Enough talk, let's get the band out on the field. Now, I absolutely love how much the band is appreciated at Ohio State. Now, I was in college band, and I felt some appreciation from the fans, but it's nothing like Ohio State's dedication. They even have a nickname for them, the best damn band in the land. And of course, their iconic Script Ohio. One of my favorite things to watch during the national anthem is the flag. Look how giant this flagpole is and how many people it takes to raise the flag. Before the game gets started, the famous OHIO chant goes around the stadium, starting in the south end, with each side taking up a letter. Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes has also become a kickoff tradition that gets the whole crowd rocking. My mom hooked us up with some pretzel bites. I've never seen pretzel bites in a giant popcorn tub like this. Now, the game itself was definitely what we'd expected, playing one of the worst teams in all of college football in Purdue. But Purdue actually kind of held their own in the first half, or maybe it's more that Ohio State wasn't playing like the number 2 ranked team in the nation, but it was much closer than it needed to be, but they were pretty good. I did really enjoy the AC/DC, Hells Bells, third down bells, and especially on the scoreboard, they had the OHIO, like the AC/DC logo. But my favorite niche tradition has to be the shoes off for the shoe during kickoffs. Why? Why not?
Scoop and score.
In the third quarter, there's a tradition where the band goes all around the stadium and plays for different sections. However, they didn't really come that close to us, which I was a little bummed out about. Before the fourth quarter starts, the band always plays the official state rock song, Hang On Sloopy, with of course more OHIO spelling. With it being a complete and utter blowout, the stands did start to empty out a little early. Purdue really couldn't help themselves as they missed a field goal that would have cracked their goose egg. And I must say, it's gotta be Brutus Buckeyes' ominous stare that made him miss. But of course, we had to stay to the bitter end, despite the wind blowing and being a little bit nippy. But we stuck it out for Ohio State's nail-biting, heroic 45-0 victory over the Boilermakers. And that's gonna do it for our time at Ohio Stadium, home of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and click subscribe, as we've got lots more stadium reviews on the way. Thanks, and I'll see you real soon in another one. Thanks, bye.